Okay, what's going on, everybody? We're here. We're live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you can hear me clearly, please drop a one in the live chat, and then we can get today's show started. While we're waiting for the ones to come in, or I should say, while I'm waiting for the ones to come in, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button. Also, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. Also, share this video out on your social media platforms so everyone knows that I'm now currently live streaming. And I see the ones are now coming in. So let's get today's show started. And I want to just take a quick moment to acknowledge Torian Rain's comment really quick. He said, another Dinesh Vivek type. Yes, another Vivek and Dinesh type. And something that's really interesting that I just want everyone to kind of keep their minds on as we go throughout this live stream. And I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but just keep in mind and pay attention to the way in which a lot of people from the Indian community are coming into prominence in American politics. I find that really interesting. From Kamala Harris to Vivek Ramaswamy, you have the other gentleman, Dinesh. We have this other one here that I'm going to speak on today called Vijay Ingam, I believe his last name is. I think that's just something to take note of and to just keep in mind moving forward, is the way that there are a lot of people coming out of the Indian community rising to prominence relatively quickly in American politics. But that aside, I want to play this video for you all here. And after I play this video of Vijay Ingam, I believe his last name is, on Fox Business, then we're going to get into the actual commentary. So let me play this for you right now.
My next guest went to medical school. This is back in 1998. He says he got in by pretending to be black, despite having a mediocre grade point average, 3.1. Vijay Jojo Chokal Ingam is the author of Almost Black, and he joins me now. Okay, Vijay, will you please take us back to 1998 and tell us your story?
So I am living proof of the hypocrisy and racism intrinsic in affirmative action. So back in college, I remember I met this light-skinned constitutional law professor at the University of Chicago. We used to play pickup basketball, named Barack Obama. And I remember looking at this dude and saying, if he can call himself black and go to Harvard, then why can't I? So when I decided to apply to medical school, I actually looked at the data that was published by the American Association of Medical Colleges, and I realized that I have a lot more likely to get into medical school if I said I was black than Asian American. So I shaved my head, I trimmed my long Indian eyelashes, I joined the Organization of Black Students, and I applied to medical school as a black man. It worked beyond my wildest expectations. I got waitlisted at Washington University and the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. Those are the third and fourth best med schools in the country. And I got into St. Louis University School of Medicine, despite the fact that my 3.1 GPA was dramatically lower than their average of 3.7 at the time. So I rode that affirmative action roller coaster all the way into medical school. But unfortunately, because of the new Supreme Court decision, you can't really do that anymore.
Okay, that's a good story. But once you got into medical school as a black man, you're not of African heritage. I believe you're of Indian heritage. Did other black students find out, and what was their reaction to you?
So, 100 students started. It's not like they disclosed to your school your race or your fellow classmates your race. So I just appeared on the first day of class as myself with my normal hair. There were 100 students starting on the same day, so I just blended in. No one ever noticed that I was not the race I claimed to be in my application.
Last one. You fully support the Supreme Court's ruling against affirmative action, right?
Yes, I'm very proud to join Edward Bloom, Students for Fair Admission, and their efforts to end affirmative action. But I want to warn you guys, this is just the beginning. We're going to have to fight a battle to enforce this decision because Joe Biden is never going to enforce it.
Vijay Jojo Chokal Ingram, thank you very much for being with us, sir. An eye-opener, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Medical.
Now, I want to go back before I dive too deep into the commentary to what he was saying about Barack Obama. I want to play that one more time. Let's listen to that.
College, I remember I met this light of the hypocrisy and racism intrinsic in affirmative action. So back in college, I remember I met this light-skinned constitutional law professor at the University of Chicago. We used to play pickup basketball, named Barack Obama. And I remember looking at this dude and saying, if he can call himself black and go to Harvard, then why can't I?
Now, if you saw the actual title of today's live stream, it's titled Vijay Ingam comes from a culture of cheating while wagging his finger at Black America. He comes from a culture of cheating, and that's what I want to really dive into today. But I want you to look at the mindset behind someone who comes from a culture of cheating and the wild leaps of logic that they take to justify cheating and lying. He said if Barack Obama can call himself black, why can't I? That's the leap of logic. And you also have to understand the anti-black racism behind his whole stance concerning being against affirmative action as well, because individuals like him, they never actually acknowledge the fact, as many of us have spoken to many times before, that white women are the number one beneficiaries of affirmative action. They never speak to that, right? It's always about Black Americans and, Black Americans getting in school ahead of them, but they never speak on the aspect of white women. Now, watching that video, right? There are many directions you can say that you can go with the topics of discussion that comes out of the foolishness coming out of his mouth. But what I don't want us to do is lose sight of the fact that Vijay Ingam lied to get into medical school. He cheated to get into medical school. And that is because this man comes from a culture of cheating. Let's get into some articles right now, very quickly, so that I can properly explain why and how I came to this conclusion, right? So, the first article that I'm going to pull up here on the screen, and I'll forewarn you ahead of time. When it comes to the Indian names that have to be read off and Indian cities, cities in India, I'll probably just be skipping over them, if not just butchering them. So it is what it is. But this first article here is titled 1,000 mostly Gujarati students face risk of deportation to India. Okay. So let's get into that right now. But before we do, there are 172 people in the live stream right now. Please hit the like button if you have not already. Please hit the like button. If you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button. And lastly, make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms as well. So now the article reads as such. The newest scandal involving some Indian students in the US looks straight out of a Bollywood movie. It is alleged that over 1,000 students gained admission to US universities through fraudulent means. In a pot boiler, like modus operandi, the racket worked where the aspiring students wishing to go to the US would pay the accused, who would then connect a Bluetooth keypad to the student's laptop during the exams, like IELTS required for US university admission. Now, I want to stop right there. IELTS. I just want to explain to you guys very quickly what IELTS is, right? IELTS. The IELTS measures a candidate's ability across 4 skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. It is used as an English language requirement for university admissions in several countries. So I just wanted to clarify what that actually is, right? But now let's get back into the article. So I'm going to read that last sentence again, too. I should say that paragraph. In a pot boiler, like modus operandi, The racket worked where the aspiring students wishing to go to the US would pay the accused, who would then connect a Bluetooth keypad to the student's laptop during the exams, like IELTS, required for US university admissions. The Bluetooth device would enable masterminds to write the answers directly without being caught by the examiner. The student would pretend to write the answers while they were assisted by a party of 3 people in India who are now under arrest. While Indians remain one of the largest ethnic groups to arrive in the US for study, in a new emerging case, over 1,000 students from India are now under the FBI scanner for alleged admission involving fraud. Most of these students hail from Gujarat. The matter of the light, the matter came to light with the Mashan police with the Mashan police booked 42 individuals involved in alleged IELTS scam. The cyber cell arrested 3 people involved in manipulating various exams required for admission to postgraduate courses in US universities. According to reports, the FBI has reached out to them regarding the potential deportation of more than 1,000 students from the US. It is expected that the FBI will be investigating further. Okay. Now, this is an article that was written very recently concerning the, what is it called? The IELTS admission scam that's going on in India that they have to pass in order to get into US universities, right? But this is something that's been going on for quite some time now. Here's an article here from the, I believe it's, what is it, the Indian Times or something of that nature. Indian students spark IELTS cheating probe after failing to speak English in US court. This was written of August of last year. Some 900 people are suspected of deceitfully obtaining high IELTS scores this year by paying almost $18,000 each. The Times of India reported. Investigation into fake certification scams found classroom cameras were turned off. I'm going to repeat that again. Investigation into fake certificate scam found classroom cameras were turned off, while some students had others take their test for them. So you have these folks hooking in Bluetooths where other people in remote areas are taking tests for them. You have other situations going on where they have a whole system in place where they're shutting off the cameras and having other people take tests for them in order to get into these universities. And then they come here like Vivik's parents, right? Or like this gentleman here that we've been speaking of, was his Vijay Ingam, and have the audacity to thumb their nose at you and wag their finger at you and pretend as if you're getting some unfair advantage over them when they themselves cheated their way to the top and cheated their way to their positions. And once again, like I said earlier at the top of this live stream, they come from a culture of cheating, right? Because look at this Washington Post article over here, all right? This Washington Post article reads, India tried to stop cheating in school, so 500,000 students skipped exams. If you didn't catch that, 500,000 students, over 500,000 students skipped exams simply because they could not cheat. Okay? There are 200, that is amazing. There are 230 people in the live stream right now. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new to this channel. And also, share this video out on your social media platforms. And also, for the last time before we carry on, thank you very much, Death Before Dishonor, for being the first person to contribute to today's live stream. It is deeply appreciated. All the support I receive on this channel is deeply appreciated. Also, thank you very much, Ty on Cash App, for showing support as well. It is deeply appreciated. I thank you all very much. Now, let's get into this article here, right? This article reads as such. It's only the fourth day of annual examinations in India's largest state of Uttar Pradesh. And already the government says 661,643 students, around 10% of the total number enrolled, have failed to show up. A government official said it's because this year they've upped their anti-cheating efforts and clamped down on the state's notorious education mafia by installing CCTV cameras and deploying a police task force to catch cheaters. Look at the efforts that they have to go to over there to stop cheating. They have to install CCTV cameras as well as deploy a police task force to catch cheaters. They have an entire police task force in India to catch cheaters. Yet these will be the same folks that come over here and wag their finger at you and tell you, Black Americans, what you do and don't deserve and what you should and shouldn't get. That is amazing. That is amazing. That's the culture that Vijay Ingam comes from. He comes from that culture. And that is who he is as well. As you remember earlier in the beginning of this stream, the wild leap of logic that he took to justify lying and cheating his way into medical school was that if Barack Obama can call himself Black, then I can be Black too. And then proceeded to lie on his admission applications, referring to himself as Black in order to get into medical school. A culture of cheating. Unbelievable. An entire police task force to catch cheaters in his country, where he's from. Amazing. India's hugely competitive examination system, coupled with poor teaching standards in schools, has seen the growth of a massive cheating industry in recent decades. Students need top marks, sometimes over 99%, to get into the country's highly oversubscribed universities. And so examiners are bribed, answer sheets leaked, and exam rooms infiltrated. So how did this culture of cheating come about? It came about because of that last article that I just read. Understand, when I'm saying he comes from a culture of cheating and they have a culture of cheating in this country, it's not to be mean and it's not to be disrespectful. It's just a matter of fact of what is, based off of the circumstances and the situations that they live under and that they're growing up in, right? In order for them to get into universities over there, and I guess in order for them to be able to come over here, right? It's so competitive and the test scores have to be so high, and the teaching standards in school are so poor, as this article states, that it has since created a culture of cheating. That's where that comes about from, right? The same way how in a live stream that I did months ago, I don't believe that live stream was exclusively focused on Nigeria, but some of you may remember I did a live stream in which I played a CNN news clip. It was CNN international news clip where there was a Nigerian individual who works with CNN, and they were explaining the term Japa. I don't know how many of you all remember this and how many of you are aware of this, but the term Japa in the Nigerian language means flee. It literally stands for flee. And Japa has become a cultural thing in Nigeria, wanting to flee from Nigeria because of how poor the living conditions are and how corrupt the government is over there, has developed a culture in Nigeria of fleeing, so much so that they have a name for it called Japa. Once again, that's not me being mean or insulting. It's me explaining the reality of what is, right? On their based off of what they themselves say and claim. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the same thing that you see happening here in India. This wild culture of cheating. And with this culture of cheating, we're seeing a mass influx, right, of Indian students arriving into the United States. I believe it's on FA visas, if I'm not mistaken. Now let's go into this final article here that discusses this. This article here is discussed, is titled, and it's from the Indian Express. India accounted for 1 out of 5 U.S. students. Excuse me. India accounted for 1 out of 5 U.S. student visas in 2022. Garcetti. Okay. So let me scroll down here and read this off to you very quickly, and it's pretty short, so I will read the whole thing. And there are currently 305 of you here in the live stream right now. Please hit the like button if you have not already. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And thank you, Illumi Nadi, for your support to the channel. Is deeply appreciated. Thank you very much, Illumi. Thank you very much. Extremely effective analysis. I appreciate that, Illumi. Thank you. So now let's get into this article right here. India accounted for 1 out of every 5 U.S. student visas issued in 2022. U.S. Ambassador Eric Garcetti said Wednesday during his address on the 7th annual Student Visa Day organized by the U.S. Mission in India. Garcetti emphasized that more Indian students come to the United States than from any other country, with the country surpassing the global average in terms of student visas issued. Acknowledging the long-standing tradition of Indian students pursuing education in the U.S., he expressed the commitment to process the higher number of student visa applications in history. Excuse me, I'm going to read that again. Acknowledging the longstanding tradition of Indian students pursuing education in the U.S., he expressed the commitment to process the highest number of student visa applications in history and announced the availability of a greater number of visa appointments for students this year. On the occasion, consular officers interviewed around 3,500 Indian student visa applicants from cities like New Delhi, Mumbai, and many others. The embassy reported a record-breaking number, over 125,000 of student visas issued in India in 2022. I'm going to read that again. There has been over 125,000 student visas issued in 2022. Wow. Indians also received the highest percentage of H&L employment visas, 65%, and F1 student visas, 17.5% worldwide, according to a press release by the embassy. Indian visitors constituted one of the largest groups of international visitors to the U.S., with over 1.2 million people from the country traveling to the U.S. in the previous year, according to the embassy. I want to go back to that portion that's highlighted in blue, right? Over 125,000 student visas were issued to Indian students alone in 2022, with 65% of H&L employment visas going to them, on top of 17.5% of F1 student visas going to them, the highest worldwide out of all groups. Cheating sure pays off, doesn't it? Cheating sure does seem to pay off. That is amazing. And these same folks will come here and wag their fingers in your face as if they're better than you and cry foul if, heaven forbid, the United States government makes good on their efforts to close certain racial wealth gaps or education gaps or income gaps with Black Americans that they created over centuries of political and economic violence towards Black Americans. Heaven forbid Black Americans settle out their issues with their own government in the country that they built, to which they were discriminated and locked out of opportunities. No. Now these folks are coming here, some of them, like Vivek Ramaswamy, like Vijay Ingam, who come from a culture of cheating and wag their finger at you and tell you what you do and don't deserve in your own country, meddling in your affairs with your government. I find that very interesting. So in closing, I want to thank the last few people who contributed to today's stream. There are 341 of you in here right now. If you have not already, please hit the like button. Please hit that like button. Thank you very much, Val Williams and Carla Lockard, the Splash Sisters, for coming through, always coming through at the very end of a live stream. Thank you very much to the Splash Sisters. I want to thank you all for joining me today on today's live stream. Please subscribe if you have not already. Hit the like button. And also, please follow me on Telegram. The link to my Telegram group is pinned in the live chat above, and it is also in the description box and will be pinned in the comments section below once this live stream is over. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you found today's stream fruitful, and I will catch you guys the next time around. Peace. Have a great day.